From Geppetto Studios in New Freedom, Pennsylvania, welcome to the Cosmic Geppetto Podcast, your home for inclusive, positive geek culture, where we talk about movies, comics, music, books, and whatever else we feel like. Please welcome your host.
Fun to watch, but they're an idiot. You don't want to be around them.
Brad Mendenhall.
Hey kids. It is a jumping episode of the Cosmic Geppetto Podcast. Podcaster and screenwriter Robert Kijowski joins me to discuss the heartbreaking cancellation of Adult Swim's Venture Brothers. I still can't believe it's gone. Anywho, Katie has a question.
But she knows she might. Not here to start trouble. She has got to know. Katie questions everything.
What fictional animal would you want as a pet?
That's a good one. I don't know if I've ever thought about that. Luck Dragon from Neverending Story? I think we could all use a Luck Dragon, right? That'd be pretty cool. It definitely would probably help my commute to work.
How you doing?
Doing well. A little bit of convalescing, but doing well.
Yeah, so you said you said it was minor surgery?
This actually ties into what we're doing right now. Let me kind of preface this and we'll lead into it. So you contacted me because I did kind of like a sort of a requiem for the Venture Brothers, correct?
Correct.
First of all, that sucks. That is no good. That is kind of like that's so like unconscionable for Adult Swim to do that. Like, why would they do that? I don't get it.
It hurts bad.
It hurts bad, and you know what? I'm going to right now go into It Hurts Bad, like the first season, episode 9 of The Venture Brothers. Are you there? God, it's me, Dean. The testicular torsion episode.
Oh, God, that one just hurt to watch.
And you know what? That's what I got my surgery for him.
No!
Yeah, I did. No, seriously, I did.
Robert, I understand protesting stuff, but that's going a step too far.
No, I mean, it's not like...
Doing that to yourself for a show. No, don't do that, Robert.
Christ help me. If I couldn't, I wouldn't. But I actually wrote an article that said, in honor of the Venture Brothers, I got testicular torsion. I actually did like a few weeks ago. That's the surgery that I was going on, which sucked. And the weird thing is Doc Hammer, who wrote the episode, he read the article and he was like, I like it a lot. He's like, we're testicular torsion brothers now. And I'm like, I guess we are. But anybody that's listening right now, if you want to, you have keyboards, just search it up. It's not something, especially guys, it's not something that you want to search up. But it might be in your best health to do that.
That's a hell of a way to talk to Doc Hammer.
It is. Well, I've talked to him before, like at his Weep concert. Okay, let us talk about the amazing writer duo of Doc Hammer and Jackson Public. There is no other duo like that in TV working right now. And granted, they're not working. Still, how great are they?
The depth of the writing, the intricacy... And they do a really good job of being very, very smart and very, very dumb, but in a way that's also turns around on itself and turns smart anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like, one of my favorite things about the show is that they reference things, but they don't kowtow to the audience. It's not like a Family Guy thing. First of all, I will be the first one, and I will create enemies. I will be a persona non grata in this. For possibly a few of you listening that do like Family Guy, but I hate Family Guy. And the reason is because they do a reference and then they show you the reference. It's kind of like, no, you don't have to do that. Venture Brothers trust their audience. If you don't know a reference, Wikipedia it up.
I remember I watched Family Guy plenty because it was on after The Simpsons, and I was a huge Simpsons fan. And the jokes were bawdy, and sometimes they landed, sometimes they didn't. But the show Family Guy definitely feels like a show written by a smart guy who is convinced that everybody who watches the show is stupid. So he has to diagram all the jokes and doesn't trust your audience. Venture Brothers trusted its audience.
That's the amazing thing. That's why their audience is so smart. Because they're like, you know what? If I don't get the reference, I'll search it up. And they do a ton of music references, too, which I love. A ton of music references, a ton of 80s references. Like the Teddy Ruxpin bear. Who would think of that? Only them.
Do some weird reference to Marvel Sentinels and The Watcher. Ignore me! I was like...
Ignore me! I could feel that in my chonies. Like, I've watched this series time and time again. So I have to ask you then, what's better? Because this is like a double-edged question to any Venture Brothers fan. And it is to me, too. Because you could fall on that sword, but you could fall on the other side of the sword. What is better? The episode or their commentary?
Oh.
That's... See? That's like so hard.
It's really hard because it is a show that you watch over and over again. And the commentary is wonderful because...
It's like another show.
It's another show, and you're like, oh. And no matter how many times you watch it, there's just things that they're going to share that's going to completely open your eyes that much more to the next time you watch it. It's so brilliant, and it's so innovative, so daring, and they've done so much crazy stuff on this show. It hits a sweet spot for me, because a lot of the things they reference to comic books, I watched the old Johnny Quest show.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they made Johnny Quest like, what is it, meth addict?
Yeah, Action Johnny.
Action Johnny. They made Shore Leave, which was like a G.I. Joe character. They made him like out and proud, which is amazing. And not only out and proud, but a proud Christian at that. Boots of God. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, it goes there. And you don't expect it to go there because it's so out of like this world.
It's so daring, so ballsy, and obviously set the tracks for a lot of entertainment. Rick and Morty doesn't happen without Venture Brothers.
No, I agree. Totally.
And I love Rick and Morty. Really good show. But even Rick and Morty isn't as daring as Venture Brothers in a lot of ways.
It hasn't been produced, but I did write a Rick and Morty script. I realized that Rick and Morty, you have to go sort of like one of three notes. You have to go on Rick, you have to go on Morty. Like the other two could be interchangeable. You either have to go on Beth or Summer, and they could be interchangeable. And there could be three plots, which I've done before. But it's one of those things where, because I'm a screenwriter, but it's one of those things where like you kind of know where Rick and Morty is going. Even though it is funny, I will give this series credit. I do like Rick and Morty. But Venture Brothers, you have no idea where the hell it's going. Like, seriously, from one episode to the next. It's world building. That's the thing, too, because Rick and Morty, yeah, they have, like, the four main characters. Fine. Venture Brothers, they have a vast world of characters. That's the thing. Doc and Jackson even said, like, we don't even like to write for the Venture Brothers or Dr. Venture or Brock anymore. We like to write for the background characters. We like to write for every one of their stories. So then you got Pete White, you got Billy Quizboy, all these awesome characters that like bring this world kind of, it is almost like a comic book.
You're exactly right, because there would be seasons where as Venture Brothers is like, you would go several episodes where Dean and Hank weren't even background characters.
Yeah, they're not even in there.
Yeah, and the last couple seasons was really about splitting them up and probably it's an attempt to make them more interesting characters with some success. But you would have so many episodes about Quizboy or Brock away from the Venture compound, bringing in hatred. And you could tell that very clearly at the beginning was, we're going to watch these two kids and they're going to get shot and killed a couple times and they're the center of the story. And And it ends up, as is often the case, the main characters often are the least interesting.
Yeah, very true.
So a lot of effort was made to, okay, we're going to focus on the more fun background characters, and we're going to try to make Dean and Hank more interesting.
Completely agree. And the weird thing is that in the first episode, like, you've seen the pilot, right? Like, I remember watching like a teaser of the pilot on Adult Swim, the website, when Adult Swim had like this website where they would preview all these things way in the aughts. It was one of those things where like Brock was on a bubby. He's like, that's how you got to dispatch them. And there was like a Dr. Girlfriend that sounded more like Harvey Firestein than she does now. The evolving, even the death of Henchman 21 or Henchman 24, how Henchman 21 evolves from that. That's something you don't see of cartoons like The Simpsons. They all stay the same. They're all the same age. Not that I am saying about The Simpsons. I still watch them, but it's kind of boring.
All credit given to The Simpsons, they've been able to maintain some level of quality over the course of, what is it now?
31 seasons, 30, something like that.
Just a ridiculous number of episodes. They're telling a very specific story, and it's a parody of sitcom tropes and TV tropes, and it's where they would make fun of the fact where at the end of one episode, Lisa points out, like, whatever happens, everything's going to be the same next week, and that was the joke.
I'm fucking tired of it. I, like, seriously am tired of that shit. Like, Venture Brothers actually made me want to watch, maybe, like, on tenterhooks for exactly what the next episode was. Simpsons don't make me do that. No, not at all.
The Simpsons at its best was really clever, really smart, a little bit of cultural satire, and it was brilliant, but let's be honest, that show hasn't been brilliant since probably 5 years before Venture Brothers even debuted.
Very true. Have you, I have to ask, because you're, you're a Venture Brothers fan, have you bought any Venture Brothers paraphernalia that possibly won't be in continuation right now?
I'm not a big swag guy.
Okay. No, that's fair.
It's funny, now that the show's going away, it's like, you should have at least have, like, I don't know, a Quiz Boy bobblehead or something, like, or something.
Or something, yeah. No, I get it.
You just thought Venture Brothers was always going to be around. It
ran for 17 years.
17 years, but only 7 seasons.
And you know why, though?
They write their own stuff.
Yeah, it's 2 writers, that's it.
And that's another thing that makes it different from Rick and Morty, where Rick and Morty...
They have a writer's room.
As most shows do. Yeah, they have a writer's room. Still doesn't make them that much faster. And that can help because it gives you different voices and different ideas. And they can be great. But what you trade in is it's no longer a singular, or in this case, a dual vision. It's a lot easier to have this really intricate back catalog and forward-thinking. Venture Brothers never trips up over its own continuity.
They love to just keep going and going and going on. And the weird thing is that I hope, because just taking like a little sidestep for a moment, I think that because I used to review for the Harley Quinn series that used to be on DC Universe. The first 2 seasons I used to review and watch. They're now going to HBO Max. The weird thing is that I think that Venture Brothers could have a second, or, well, not second life, like a life on something like Hulu or like HBO or something like that. There's a big enough fandom to bring them back.
There have been some stirrings about that. HBO Max specifically, and you don't know how much of it is actual conversations or how much of it is wishful thinking, but there's been some talk of finding a new home for it, which I want so much, although I know if that happens, even if they signed the papers tomorrow, you're still looking at another 2 years.
You know what? That's very true. It's very true. I mean, Harley Quinn, the animated series, could do that like in a year because they had to. But Venture Brothers, I think if they gave them that time, they could do that. And I think they would write equally as brilliant scripts. Because, again, these are only one of two people. Nobody else could write the Venture Brothers as Doc and Jackson could do that.
Didn't Ben Edlund?
He wrote one script. He directed one script, too. And there was like another director on like a few scripts, I think in the third season. But basically, they both wrote all scripts.
That's really rarefied air. And Ben Edlund is the writer who's so born to write Venture Brothers.
Oh, my God, he was. For those of you who don't know, who would you like to educate the audience on who Ben Edlund is?
Please, you're the guest, please.
He is known for The Tick, the original series, and the live-action series. He's also known for Supernatural. He's also done scripts for, I think, Buffy. I want to say he did a Buffy, or no, Angel.
Angel. He did the brilliant, what was it, Smile Time.
Yeah, Smile Time. Yes.
One of the two best episodes of that show.
It is. The weird thing is Ben was actually a roommate with Docs for the longest time. So that's how they kind of know each other, which is interesting. Jackson knew Ben from like just The Tick. He wrote a couple of Tick episodes. It's all full circle. And the thing is, we need this creativity. Like, what do we have now in terms of Adult Swim? Tell me, like, what do we have? Maybe I will make a few enemies with saying this, but 12-ounce mouse, come on.
Adult Swim, you're just waiting for the next Rick and Morty. I've always tried to get into Adult Swim because I love Rick and Morty so much. The rest of the stuff is like, maybe I'm too old for this. Maybe I'm not enough of a stoned college kid to really get into this. The live action stuff was always really daring, and interesting for an episode or two, and then I would just run out of steam. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like, all right, you guys, you do your thing. I'm going to do my thing. I'm running out of steam. I'll drink my beer in the corner. You do your stuff. Like, I'm not going to bother you right now. Almost like, I love the Eric Andre show, but I think that's where it started the weird, I don't know, the weird divide. Either that or the Tim and Eric show, which I love. Don't get me wrong. But I think, honestly, Moral Oral and Venture Brothers and Aqua Teen Hunger Force should be combined in, like, this whole package that was ultimately Adult Swim.
At its best, Adult Swim is daring, smart, funny stuff that doesn't belong anywhere else. Venture Brothers, Moral Oral, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Rick and Morty, these are shows that, well, you saw recently one of the writers from Rick and Morty was hired to create a show for the Fox network and created Solar Opposites, which ended up on Hulu. First off, you can see why it didn't go on to Fox network, because it had a lot of the same things from Rick and Morty that it will not work on network TV, and it felt weird on Hulu.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't really fit there. You just go see where they bought the show, they got the episodes made, and it's like, we have no idea where this show goes. Adult Swim is that place, and other groups have tried doing something similar. What was it? The FX network did the... which was terrible.
It was. I know what you're talking about. It was terrible.
Axe Cop, and then they had like an Archie's parody.
Funny thing is, the Archie's parody was done by Dino Stamatopoulos, who is the creator of Moral Oral. But it didn't hit, and nobody liked it. And it was like, all right. I mean, he's done like multiple shows. He's done like Frankenhole and like that.
It wasn't just the show. The show itself was okay. It was fine. But then everything around it, the shorts in between the episodes, and it looked like it was trying so hard to be Adult Swim, and it just wasn't.
They didn't have enough agency to do that. And it's kind of like, why can't you be what I want? I sound like a baby saying that, but it's kind of like, why don't you want to be what I am used to? Adult Swim used to be that, but they're evolving. I don't know what evolution would be in kind of like the whole spectrum of, I guess, adult comedy. Is it the Eric Andre show? I love it, but would it be that? Would it be something else? I have no clue. I honestly think that Venture Brothers should be on, like, syndicated. I think that it is that funny. It holds up that much. I mean, if C-Lab 2021 could be syndicated, if Harvey Birdman could be that syndicated, why can't Venture Brothers? So, have you watched Community?
Oh yeah, big Community fan.
I love Community. They've been begging for a movie so much. If this is the end of Venture Brothers, then I think at the very least, they deserve a movie.
They have the plans for, this was going to be the final season, they were going to wrap up stuff. Just do what sort of like what they did with Firefly. It got canceled after one season, and then they made Serenity, which was not very obviously was the second season, and they just took what was going to be their favorite parts, the highlights of what the second season was going to be, and they turned that into a movie. I would love that.
I mean, that's the weird thing with seasons. The weird thing is, if you're good, if they like you, they will say beforehand, this is your final season. You're being canceled. It was done with Supernatural. That gives the writers the chance, the writers' room, the chance to actually like cobble together and write a fitting season. This would just like cut the off right there, lopped off.
They had announced this was going to be the last season, and then, no, never mind.
That was really screwed up. Why would you say that? Even I think Jackson had said, like, we were writing scripts for this last season. Now we can.
Are there any rumors, or do you have any idea or any insight? What happened?
From what I've gathered, they just didn't get enough money. And they're like, we can't. No, we can't. It's like, that's what Harley Quinn did. But Harley Quinn got bought by HBO Max, and then there was a whole thing of, well, are we going to do a third season? Are we not? It's a beautiful second season. Are we going to do it? All right, fine. We did it. So I have no idea. But I will say hashtag save the Venture Brothers, because we need this more in our lives. They have way more stories to tell.
They have more stories to tell. They have an end game. They've been doing the show for so long and building to something, and you always feel the forward motion, and I want to see that end game, and I don't want to see it as a comic book, or I don't want it to be the end revealed in a panel discussion at a Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. That'd be lame.
It would just be heartbreaking, and I've heard that's happened so many times where John Byrne talking about what would be the end of the Galactus story that he never got to finish at Marvel, or Joss Whedon talking about things that were going to happen in Firefly, or any show or movie, comic book series that never got a chance to tell the full story. It's heartbreaking to see drips and drabs where people have to go into like the Wikipedia page to see, it's like, okay, did they ever say what was supposed to happen at the end of Drive? Really going back into an old show.
The thing is, like, the weird thing about this series that I love, and I think this is why it should be going, is because you have the diversion tactic of 24 gets blown the fuck up, and you have an evolution of his actual friend. His friend actually carries his head, his decapitated head, in his hands. First of all, who would actually kill a beloved character? But Doc was like, playfully, what if we killed him?
There are characters on that show, they deserve to be killed. Like, characters you might like, but they have enough red marks in their past that is like, okay, if you kill him, yeah, it makes sense. He deserves to be killed.
No, I agree. And, like, dictatorial rule of Monarch, even though he really doesn't actually rule anything. He just rules his own mind after looking over Dr. Venture. And we find out, spoiler alert, that they might be brothers. Or are they?
If it was not brothers, it was heavily implied. Like, that was the end of the previous season. If memory serves, yeah, they're brothers. Although, I think there was just enough wiggle room where, was it brothers or related?
Something like that, yeah.
When you have writers this good, it's like, you actually need to see, you want to see the DNA test, just to make sure.
Even with the DNA test, in 2 minutes, you know they're going to make you laugh out loud because they're that funny. Like, these guys are the comedic geniuses. Even above and beyond, there's like the weird offensive nature sometimes that they go on. Not in the sense that, I'm going to say it again, Family Guy does, but something in akin to, is the guy from Depeche Mode, isn't he gay? And you have to reference to realize that, no, he's not gay, but he looks gay. It's so weird. Like, they do the music references, they do all these references.
There's just always this depth of pop culture, and I love when pop culture is used smartly. When it's not just something it's like
thrown in your face.
Right. Or like, here's a completely different type of show. The first season of Friends. We're going to go see Hootie and the Blowfish because it's like, it was just a thing of the writers like, okay, who's at the top of the charts right now? Hootie and the Blowfish is like, yeah, have them go to a concert there. And it's like, oh, okay. So it's not, there's no depth to the pop culture use. It's just, so then it becomes stale immediately. 5 minutes later, that episode is going to be stale because nobody cares about that band anymore. No, the use of pop culture, the movies, the references in it, the music they love, makes complete sense for the characters, deepens everything. Of course, Dr. Girlfriend or with Brock Sampson, they think about what music these people like.
I would love the Venture world. My Venture world would seem as though you have Triana Orpheus into, I guess, the Phantom Zone or something like that, where a bomb center. Dean pines for her. Hank pines for the person that Dean had just had sex with. Then we have Dr. Venture hating them for doing that because he is like, don't fight with your brother. And Doc is saying, don't do it. You know, it's natural. But I can't write a Venture Brothers script as they do. Really, aside from Ben Edlund, I can't imagine anyone else who could. Well, no. There was one that could. There was, initially, I think I played it on Xbox or something like that. It was kind of like a poker night and stuff like that. And they actually had Brock Sampson on it. And Jackson said what they want to throw out for Brock Sampson's lines. I'm cool with that. It's fine, as long as they be with me. It's weird playing poker with Brock Sampson. That would be very weird. You should try it sometime. When I find people that are Venture Brothers fans, the thing that I always, because as we talked about a little earlier, there's so many great minor characters. Who's your favorite minor Venture Brother character? Minor Venture Brother character, I will say easily Shore Leave. Oh, Shore Leave. Oh, God, yeah. Because he's so sure and he knows what he is. And I would like to know what that would be. It's a great story. You know, there's a great story behind it. And there's so many other great stories as well. I do have a second one. Colonel Gentleman. Describe Colonel Gentleman. He's basically like a James Bond character that is gay, but is kind of like, he plays the way. Like, he is, well, he's not gay, he's bi, but he honestly really can it up. Am I right on that? You are right on that. Who's yours? Triana Orpheus. Oh, Triana, yeah. What I like about that character, Dean makes eyes at her.
She's a really confident, smart character who is way smarter than anyone else in the room. She rolls her eyes at her dad, but what's funny is she rolls her eyes and she's smart in the room, but she's not above this world.
Oh, she doesn't waffle. She doesn't waffle about it. She's like, yeah, I know what I want.
She knows what she wants. She's like thinking about becoming a bad guy. She's like, oh, maybe I'll join the villains. It sounds like fun. And it's also fun because she likes Dean. She likes these people. She's not too cool to admit having affection for these characters, which creates a neat dynamic where does she want to be with Dean? She knows that Dean has feelings for her, and does she want that? So I think there's a neat dramatic arc for her. I like the character. She wasn't around for a while.
You know who she is? Doc Hammer's ex-wife.
Yeah, I remember it was one of their ex-wives. That might be a factor.
You know, it's not. Like, he's cool with that. He's totally cool. By the way, look at all Doc Hammer's paintings. I'm just weird saying that right now. Look at all of them. They are great. But either way, there is like a moral turpitude to her, and I don't know what it is.
So many of the characters on the show, either they're an idiot. They're fun to watch, but they're an idiot. You don't want to be around them. Or you have Brock, who's so damn cool you would feel intimidated by. And she's one of the characters who is like, oh, yeah, she's cool. It's sort of the fun person you would want to be around.
She's the one that knows, like, what's going around. She's like, I'm out. That's it. Like, I know what's going on.
Those sort of characters appeal to me. Hey, listen, there's a lot of great characters on there. What's great is nobody on this show feels exactly the same as they were from that first episode. Maybe Brock.
Maybe.
Even Dr. Venture has changed.
Well, he's been less callous to his kids.
The fun thing is, like, once his brother died, he inherited all of his success. So then it was like watching Dr. Venture deal with having success that he hadn't earned. And every now and then he would just show a little bit of awareness, like, oh, I don't deserve this.
The weird thing is that both writers, Jackson and Doc, have said that it is all about failure. It is all about failure. So if we didn't deserve it, we will let you know.
I've read that too, and it's just such a great idea watching these characters completely fall on their face and not deserve their success and learn and have to deal with like, oh, and it's going to be taken away from us because we have not earned this.
I agree.
And it's a great way to go about this. And it's a show where you have absolutely no confidence that good guys, which isn't even really the right term. Dr. Venture's not a good guy.
No, I would not like him as a father.
Terrible dad, and also completely irresponsible with his inventions, none of which are really his. He's just basically repurposing and selling out everything that his dad had. One of the earliest episodes, he was going to sell what was basically a death ray. It's like, oh, it's not a death ray. It's not a death ray. It's like, and it shows him like melting miniature buildings and miniature people. It's like, well, in the military, he's like, oh, we'll buy it. He's selling a death ray. But not even realizing what he'd done. Is like, I guess the military could figure out a way to use it. It melts people.
He's like, so what? Who cares? I make money.
What do you think's going to happen? What's your gut say? What is the future for Venture Brothers and for these amazing creatives behind it? What do you think's going to happen?
There is one of two things. I think that they could either be bought, and if that is said, they will just continue it. The second thing is they may break off and they can do different things. Because I don't know if Doc wants me to say this, but he was paraplegic.
Oh.
Yeah, for like a long time. I think that Doc would actually write a novel in that sense, and Jackson would create a couple of more TV shows and employ Doc.
As we're recording this, they just put out the third episode of the new season of Archer. Archer's an interesting show where it's from the same creative minds behind C-Lab 2021 and Frisky Dingo.
Yeah.
They created Archer, which is a little bit more palatable to a bigger audience. It didn't need Adult Swim. It was not an Adult Swim show, although you certainly saw Adult Swim DNA there. But it was a half-hour episodes. The seasons came out with a little bit more regularity. Do you think there's something that could grow from Venture Brothers? It's like, okay, let's take the next project and show it to FX, show it to Hulu, there's so many streaming services that you think would love to have a chance to have a little something with the Venture Brothers DNA, maybe something that could be more palatable to a wider audience.
You're saying the dead Venture Brothers DNA.
Yeah, let's say that they can't find the next place they can't find a new home for Venture Brothers. Do you think Public, is he a guy that can play well in a more constrictive environment and make a show that's a little bit more pop culture-y?
I think that both of them could write for anything. So I would say they could write for that. But they would take over that. They would say, like, the writer's room, we're taking over this.
Yeah, these guys are used to playing a certain way and doing things a certain way. So it'd be interesting. Like, they're never going to do Family Guy. They're never going to do a 20-episode season every season.
Yeah. But the thing is that they could do what they do, and that is only what they can do. And that is amazing. Beautiful. Amazing.
The show was heartbreaking. Funny, exciting, satisfying, but at times really heartbreaking. You would see Hank sometimes, who's trying so hard to grow beyond being just a doofy, nice guy who thinks he's tough and wants to be Brock. And there would be times where he would show some real pathos and understanding, and it's like, oh.
I can see them creating a new series, and I hope they do. I don't know what they would do, but I would totally say that they would possibly do something new. I mean, would you want more Venture Brothers, but not Venture Brothers? They are like creative minds.
I'll follow them to whatever they do. I want more Venture Brothers. I want the story completed. When this show started, I was a completely different human being. So much has happened in my life, and throughout all of that, I always was looking forward to, it's like, all right, in 2 years, there's going to be more Venture Brothers. Hopefully. Maybe it'll be 2.5.
And then you wait, and you're like, oh my God, there's Venture Brothers. Then 2.5 years, yes. Venture Brothers, oh my God.
But I believe in their talent.
Oh no, they're amazing.
You know, there have been people who sort of have that big hit or that sort of that thing that really works and clicks and never really able to capitalize on it. I'm thinking of the guys who did Arrested Development. Arrested Development was a great show, but those guys went on to produce other shows and nothing clicked.
I would say, although there is the state, and the state actually created way more movies than, like, I'm actually staring at a book that I've read about screenwriting from one of the state, or two of the state people. The state was complimentary to the 90s, but they were not really, like, they were a cult thing, cult comedy, but good things can happen.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Do you want to know what the title of the book is?
I do.
Writing for Profit and Fun. Cross that out. Writing for Profit.
Yeah, it's a job. It's a job. It's one of the hardest jobs. Because you mentioned you do screenwriting, and that is not an easy field to get into.
No, it's not.
No, I'm curious about that. And let's remove Venture Brothers from the equation. What is a movie, TV show you saw and you're like, I wish I would have written that? That almost sounds like me. It's so much in my wheelhouse.
I would say The Good Wife.
Oh, that's an excellent show. That was such a good show. The tension, and this is probably the first time somebody's made this comparison, but similar to Venture Brothers, you had no idea where it was going.
Yeah. Like, I went into screenwriting to college and whatnot, but I always wanted to be a lawyer.
Do you watch The Good Fight?
I do. Love it.
I've watched bits and pieces, but I don't have CBS All Access.
Do you have On Demand?
Yeah, I know they have like the previous seasons on there. It's just one of these days I gotta just sit down and watch it. It's almost like an
Why are you not doing that? Come on.
Because I know as soon as I watch the first episode, it's like, well, it's gonna take over my life for a while.
I mean, come on.
I know, I will. I promise. And we'll talk about that then.
Okay, fair enough.
Robert, this has been amazing. I really appreciate you taking the time. I finding somebody who shares my Venture Brothers love and the heartbreak. I need you to plug your pluggables. Tell people where they can find more of you.
I'm on the work print right now. I write for the work print. I don't even know what that is, the work print. Search up the work print. Also, I write for, well, not even write for, but I do after the credits. That's on my podcast for ACPN Network and Spotify, stuff like that. But theworkprint.com, that's basically where I am. When you can see me is basically I May Destroy You right now. I've done all 12 episodes. Have you seen that?
No, I have heard about it.
It's intense. I can say that. You can read my articles.
Recommend everyone check out your podcast. I had a chance to listen to it. You have a great rapport with your co-host. Robert, you're fantastic. I really appreciate you coming on.
Oh, yeah, that's after the credits, and I'm doing maybe another one soon. Who knows? Who the now? I'm kind of like freewheeling with this. But we do review movies and we do and TV shows in our bed right now, which is weird, but
it's a weird time to be doing anything involving entertainment. It's like, well, not too long before everything went crazy, I recorded with a frequent contributor. It's like, hey, let's talk about all the summer movies, and then we did this hour and plus long recording, and then there were no summer movies. I was like, well,
yeah, that's a weird thing. We should talk about that next time.
Definitely. Robert, this has been great, and you will come back?
Oh, definitely. Wholeheartedly.
That'll be fantastic. Thank you. And that's episode 210. Big thanks to Robert Kijowski. So much fun talking to him. He will return. Also big thanks to Katie. She is an absolute gem. Finally, a little story to share. Many, many years ago, I was a fresh-faced teenager washing dishes at Sbarro's. I saved and saved until I had enough money for a CD player. The first 3 CDs I purchased were Def Leppard's Hysteria, which pretty much everyone had, Richard Marx's debut album, Don't Judge Me, and Van Halen's OU812. Thus began a decades-long fandom for Eddie Van Halen. I owned all the albums, even the one with the guy from Extreme. I finally got to see the band during their last tour, and it was a heck of a good time. I am very sad at Eddie's recent passing. There had been rumors he wasn't doing well health-wise, but it's still a shock. There isn't much I can do to express my sadness other than to enjoy all the amazing music, which will live on. Next time on the Cosmic Geppetto podcast, Sean returns for a cover conversation. Till then, in the words of Jarve Hardin,
see you in the funny pages.
Subscribe to the Cosmic Geppetto podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever quality podcasts can be found. Rate and review us while there. Follow us on Twitter at CosmicGPod, and we will follow you back. Unless you're a jerk. We don't follow jerks. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cosmic Geppetto. We love hearing your ideas for upcoming episodes. Email us at cosmicgeppetto@comcast.net.
oh, I don't deserve this.